chose a little opening monologue for today, instead of just launching into the Pledge of Allegiance or the Scout Oath, Scout Law. So long as the principles of truth, justice, and charity for all remain deeply rooted in human hearts, our flag shall continue to be the enduring banner of the United States of America. Let us join in the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. And I didn't bring one. There's always one on the moon. Oh, there we go.
There we are.
No, sweet.
To the rescue.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, Joe. Scout salute.
Oh yeah, I suppose I should.
I pledge allegiance to the flag,
of the United States of America,
to the
the
republic
republic
for which
which
it stands,
stands
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
liberty,
liberty,
justice,
and justice for all.
Two. And we'll do Scout sign. Scout, please join me in the Scout Oath. On my honor,
My honor.
will do my
I'll
best,
do my best.
do my
Do my
duty,
duty.
in God,
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 my
my
country.
and to obey
Obey
the Scout Law,
Law,
to help
Help
other
other people at all times.
times,
to
And
keep
keep
myself
myself
physically strong,
strong,
mentally
mentally
awake,
awake,
and
and morally
Morally straight,
And the 12 points of the Scout Law are
Okay,
Scout is
trustworthy,
trustworthy,
trustworthy, loyal,
helpful,
helpful,
friendly,
friendly,
courteous,
courteous,
kind,
kind,
obedient,
cheerful,
cheerful,
thrifty,
thrifty,
brave,
brave,
clean,
clean,
and
and
reverent.
reverent.
all right.
2.
Got them all.
Thank you. I had to go through all of those to get to obedient. It did a little help to pack our den to a basically knife, working on the whittling chip, a den of bears. And we gave them the rules for handling sharp, pointy objects. And so I was trying to quickly refer to the point of the Scout Law. And the kids were going through, they weren't doing with the fingers, but they were going through all the points to get to obedient. And I think it's like 7th or 9th. I think it's maybe 7th. Trustworthy. Oh, Dave, you were counting. Which one was obedient? 6? Trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind. Obedient, 7.
7.
7, right. So
No
don't we
gang,
all do that, huh? Excuse me, Bear?
no gang signs.
Pack? Yeah, right. So,
John,
Joe?
just as a quick reminder, our roundtable this evening is being recorded, so please refrain from particularly saying any youth names, and just know that we're being recorded. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
I did refrain from naming this particular scout I had in mind, who happened to be a girl in a Cub Scout unit.
I thought you were going to say tonight's roundtable is brought to you by.
No such luck. All right. Okay, so that brought to mind the fact that there is little extra information in the handout that I hope you all got. I forwarded it 2 days ago. Since Ron Hansen came to my rescue, I was asked by the den leader if I could help them do this little meeting about the use of knives. And sure, yeah. And did I have some samples that he could display, as well as a handout maybe? And I go, whoa, I don't have anything of that ready, but he thinks I do, so I got to come up with it. Can't let him down. So I sent out an email to Ron as our roundtable commissioner, but mostly because he's working on topics all the time because he's still active as a Scoutmaster, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Correct. And I also sent one to Ellen Morey,
Yeah.
right here in town. Well, they were off camping or something that time. She didn't get back to me until 2 days later. But Ron, I appreciate you coming up with that information, especially the links to where we can find even more information. Plus, I was able to glom together a handout, and that was, well, Ron, yours was what we forwarded, I believe.
Yes, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yep. Oh, that's right. I think I forwarded it to you. So if we get any Cub Scout leaders, which I don't see any so far, we'll have something for them too. But tonight's, well, let's see, first of all, we should see if anybody needs any information or clarification or just plain has questions about any generic topic such as re-registration, or commonly known as rechartering to the council. Not all the units have started the online process. I got a list of the few. First, I thought it was some peculiar list because it only had 2 Cub Scout packs on and a whole bunch of troops. Then I realized it was not the ones that were missing that hadn't done it. It was the ones who have started. And that made a lot more sense, including the one that I normally do. I wasn't able to get in, although I was using the right code. But I tried again and it worked that time. So,
Yeah.
But anybody have any problems with their registration, rechartering? At this point, it's gathering information, I think, mostly who's come, who's gone. And of course, collecting the money. Since council is looking for this as close to the end of November to avoid a crush at the end of December, it is significant that the members of the units be asked to cough up their money now. Good thing is being done significantly before holidays. I have run into one pack, Joe Curran's pack, assigned, finally officially assigned, second time around. It took hold. They're rather reluctant to be asking parents for like $150 for both the fees and the pack's dues for their activities, since people are not getting too much for that money. And that pack in particular had some money left over from last year because they didn't do a lot of activities, didn't spend a lot of money. No blue and gold banquet. So they feel like they're a little bit flush, but they're using that to subsidize the increased fees and pay for their adult leaders registrations. They are not planning on paying for Boys Life magazine subscription, which is the cheapest item of all. But now I understand it's available on Facebook or someplace. Boys Life magazine. Anybody know about that?
I don't
Yeah,
know.
there's an app that you can load up on your smartphone and get it.
Okay. Pass that on to other units.
Is that for free, Bear, or is it fee?
I believe it's not.
Not a free app?
You got to pay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you pay one way or the other. $12 for the direct subscription. I think it's pretty good for Cub Scouts, especially. I don't know about the Boy Scouts, how much they appreciate the magazine.
That said, a good amount of Boys Life is available for free online.
Great. Okay.
You know, the jokes and stuff, but you do get a lot of the articles and the, hey, here's the cool thing this troop or that troop is doing.
They're currently offering a deal to download the app and get a year of Boys Life for free.
Is that BSA is offering that?
Yep.
Oh, I should know. Okay. But that pack in particular was asking whether they could possibly be hiatus on existing memberships, stretch it to 18 months maybe, without having to recharter now and pay all that money for the next year. Or they don't especially want to cancel or not renew, especially with, you lose insurance coverage. You also lose your tenure, which doesn't matter too much to Cub Scout people, but they would have to reapply individually all new applications being done if they don't recharter on time. Or if they took a whole year off.
Do
Even 6 months.
reapplications still need to be done by hand, or can they be done online now?
They can be done online now.
Okay. Because that was the issue. New could be done online, but renewals or, reapplying had to be done manually.
Would they incur the new scout $25 fee?
Yes, they would. After 6 months, I'm pretty sure they would incur that. Plus, the unit itself would have to recharter. The charter organization, to get its charter, not just pay the $75 that they're going to pay anyway, no matter when. That's part of the current fees, increased fees. But they'd have to fill out an application as a new unit with the old number.
Well, if they were to go on hiatus, they could probably do something like register the minimum, register the troop in the organization and whatever the minimum is to maintain the charter, and then fill in the applicants later.
Yeah, but if the youth members earn ranks or at least earn achievements, that wouldn't get recorded if they're not on the books.
Well, I'm just saying, it sounds like if they don't feel that they're going to be active and they're looking for a way of having a hiatus, that might be a direction that they may have to pursue. If not, then they'd have to stay active.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Any individual scout, I'm presuming any individual scout that isn't carried on the roster would then have to pay the new scout fee when they do sign up.
I'm afraid so. It's the way I interpret it. So.
To me, this all seems like, self-defeating actions. Cub Scouts in particular don't seem to be handling the situation well. Troops are hanging on, but I really, I think there should be some way of allowing these Cub Scout packs to have some sort of slack, telling them that if they don't do it fast enough, they're going to hit for a $25 extra fee. You're just going to destroy units.
Yeah. We have a district operations meeting next week, Wednesday.
Is it
That's key 3 leaders from all districts. All
Wednesday?
Next, I just got the email and I put it on my calendar. It's the 18th. Yeah, next Wednesday, the 18th.
That's funny.
Lance Nicolaisen sent it out.
I didn't get it.
It was it may have been within the last 3 days at least. I was going back through my emails to find the one that had the link for this tonight, and I spotted that. So, but that'll be.
Don't worry, Will. I'll deal with that on my own.
Okay, I will forward you what I have. But that would be the time I'm planning on bringing up that topic. If council can push it up to national and see if they can make any considerations. Because the packs, of course, the Boy Scouts have been meeting outside, I understand, for a lot of activities. But now that there's no inside meetings allowed under Gear 3, we don't have much activity from packs coming, especially in the cold weather, dens or full packs. So Boy Scouts are more hardy and can carry on. But
we've been successful with our outdoor meetings and are going to continue as long as we can.
Good, yeah. I expect perseverance on the behalf of the Boy Scouts, but Cub Scouts, that's different. Families, especially when they drag along the younger siblings, they're not too happy about that. It's bad enough with mothers not wanting to go to any camps where there isn't a flush toilet. But
well, we just implemented a split meeting. So we've split patrols, half the patrols going to one location, half going to another at the same time.
Oh.
In order to reduce the number down to 25 or less.
Keep to the under 25 or less, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's another restriction.
But both groups are running the same program. Our leaders are split to manage it and coordinate it. So it's actually went fairly well. We were pleased.
Same time, same general location, but spread out.
Yes. Yep. Well,
So
two different parks in town. So they were, a mile apart.
Oh, so two different parks, a little hard for one person to run back and forth.
Yes,
to
yeah.
Cover the same topic. Oh boy. Okay.
That's why we have multiple leaders.
Yeah, it helps. Let's see, the rechartering and, well, the fees. That was, I think that's what I put into the email with the handout. Any other common topic? Oh, Art, you must have finished dinner. You've joined us. Good to see you. Literally. Anybody else have anything of general interest? Run into any problems we should share and possible solutions? I do wish we could come up with something more to help the Cub Scout packs. I was afraid we're going to lose a few with if they don't register. Once they're not registered, I don't know that we'd get them back.
Yeah, we invited Webelos from 2 different packs to join us this coming weekend, and we got only 2 Webelos and their dad showing up. So
Ooh.
Not a good showing
Yeah.
for a typical. Try to invite them for some scout skills, scouting adventures, Arrow of Light stuff. So because my fear is exactly that. If we don't have them doing something this fall, our packs are doing so little that they're just not going to recharter, and then we will totally lose them. We can try to re-recruit them for scouts, but it'd be nice not to have that.
We had
Art,
something similar
gonna
planned
do,
this
Art?
weekend, but we called it because of all the changes going on. We were going to have too many people, and we weren't sure about how the program was going to work out with all the changes. So we're tentatively putting it to the end of January. So we're hoping that that's soon enough that we can keep the Cub Scouts' interest, and it also brings it a little closer to their crossover. So they'll hopefully remember us a little bit more. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we with the changes there, it was going to be a camping trip, and so now we're going to be down at Hale Reservation in Westwood, and it's now we're just going to be breakfast, lunch, and dinner on Saturday with some activity scout skills through the course of the day, and then head on home, and you can set up a tent in your backyard if you need camping nights as part of a. We'll see how that goes.
Right.
But then the group size thing became an issue, so we had to go ahead and make sure we're going down as 2 entirely separate groups that are not visually can't see each other. So we'll be separated by a distance, and and then even then keep our groups of 12. So it'll all work out, but yeah, we're concerned about numbers.
Yeah. Ron, you were going to add something? No? Ron Hansen?
Oh, no, I just had our particular experience this year. The 3 kids from Webelos who were going to cross over just vanished. Completely lost contact with them. Well, they may have moved out of the city, but we lost them.
That's too bad. We had our group came over late, but we have, I think, 6 crossovers are going to be camping this weekend. 6 or maybe 7.
That's
Very good.
great. That's good. Good news.
Okay. Well, then I guess we could move on to the, what would it be, the breakout topic? We only have Boy Scout.
I'm going to go in the breakout room, John.
Yes, right. Well, in case we get any, I thought if we got some Cub Scout leaders, we could do a little breakout that way. We haven't done that yet in this virtual environment using Zoom.
John, do you think it would helpful if we do, John and Steve, to have a Cub Scout version of this on a different night? Are we scaring people away?
I don't think I'm that scary.
I mean,
Because they're outnumbered by Scouts PSA?
Right, exactly. And it's also tend to be people who are more in the program for longer periods of time, and maybe somebody who's just gotten, who was literally the last person out of the room and they became the den leader, would be hesitant about coming to something like this.
Is there a reason that they're not turning up? I mean, we have presumably just about as many packs as we have troops.
Yeah.
No, there's actually more troops. We're down to only, I think, 15 packs, or we will be down shortly if they don't all recharter.
Yeah.
So there,
It's kind
there's
of
39 units altogether. So
Yeah.
15 from 39 still leaves 34 or 30, I mean 22.
I wonder if it's the whole inactivity thing that's starting to snowball now. If the packs aren't doing things, they're not online, they're not doing anything active. Well, hey, here's a council thing you should check out. Why? We're not doing anything.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we did in the spring, I think in May or June, we did two different nights. We did the pack on Wednesday, second Wednesday, and the troop leaders on the second Thursday. I don't remember how many people we had, but we had some there for the pack, from the packs, Cub Scout leaders.
Yeah.
But that's not what we have now. So.
Yeah, right. We, typically over the long haul, there've been relatively few Cub leaders who've come to roundtables. And that's kind of disconcerting for somebody who wants to be, for teachers, to think that, you don't have this opportunity. You present it, but then they're not there.
Sounds like you're probably right, Ron. A one specific for them, inviting them in, talking about maybe how they can interact in the current situation might be something that they might be interested in if it's just other packs and they know that that's who they're talking with.
Yeah, that it might be worth to try a one-off just to see what happens again.
We could try that. Yep. I'm just concerned because I've sent out emails twice now to all the Cub leaders, well, all the Cub masters and committee chairs, first asking them what they were doing during the pandemic restrictions. That was earlier in June, I think. And then in September, asking about how far along they were, whether they had run their Pinewood Derby, and whether they were interested in doing the district race. And I got not very many responses. I think about 3 or 4 out of those 15 or 17. So I didn't hear one way or the other. Phone calls or return emails or anything.
Wow.
So that I did find out subsequently that back in early October that most of the packs had already done their Pinewood Derby in the spring. So that I was hoping that they would rally for it. But now I've had to postpone that indefinitely with the weather getting bad and Gear 3 keeping us from doing anything on the inside, even if it's only 3 or 5 adults running the race cars, and the kids watching virtually with their families. But yes, I'm game. I'm willing to try setting up another meeting just for Cub leaders, see what kind of response we get.
Yeah.
But I'm glad at least we have you folks. So Ron, you want to move us on to, yeah, you start first. I've got visual aid here.
Oh, good. I'm glad you got any sharp implements, John?
No, I left those in my bag.
Oh, good. Okay.
Although I probably have one in the pocket. Almost always have. Yes.
Okay. All right.
Oh,
Small mini tool, multi-tool with only 4 functions. I don't know, they call this trim line or trim.
Yeah, it's a
You've seen
manicure
these things
set.
before. Not Scout issue.
Okay. All right. That means
sonic screwdriver.
stuff with it actually. Anyway,
What?
Show them if you
Is
got
that
them.
some kind of Batman implement there?
Oh, no. That's just one of my collection.
Yeah.
is that your everyday
My
carry?
small inner pocket one.
Thought it was a rotor from a helicopter.
One of the things that, kind of we joked about this at the beginning is that, the kids are so used to this school environment where everybody's on mute all the time And I had this one new scout who, when I was talking, all of a sudden he raises his hand, and it's like, this is not school, come on, guys. So one thing we managed to get them to all kind of talk and interact with was, one week we asked them to have a knot, pick a knot, and get a piece of rope, and then demonstrate, like you're going to teach the adult leaders how to do this. And they got a nice response. I was very surprised. Even the ones who don't ever talk, who never go off mute, actually did their thing and demonstrated it. And so we started to do that kind of for all of our troop meetings. So I put together a thing, and I was thinking about it, that you can really, in a virtual environment or in small group environments, do a lot of the requirements for anywhere from Scouts through first class to the Pioneering Merit Badge. If people kind of look at the information that's out there, I'm kind of astonished at how much stuff you can find that used to be hard to find. I didn't put it on the handout because of just plain forgetting about it. There's a series of pioneering books that were made by Great Britain's Scouting Association a long time ago. They were written by the guy who was the camp chief at Gilwell Park. And they've now been put online. They're at something called the dump.scoutscan.com. And they're PDFs of these books that have some of the most amazing pioneering projects that I have ever seen. Never seen anybody actually build them because they're probably too dangerous.
Yeah.
We're talking about things like lashing together a boat with a paddle wheel that you run, and towers that go to the sky and then connect to other towers via monkey bridges. So I have a feeling it probably violates the Guide to Safe Scouting. But anyway, they do have the basic stuff, how to do the lashings and whatnot. And that's kind of handy. Has anybody had Scouts do Pioneering Merit Badge?
We're doing it right now.
Where did they do it at camp, or did you do it with people do it outside the summer camp?
We're doing it right now at our outdoor meetings. That's actually our November, December program.
What are you building? Are you building a troop project or a
Yeah, the Scouts are working up a group project. They're actually building it in two pieces because we're in two places.
Right.
But their first week was this past week, and they started practicing lashes, doing various tripod lashings and cross lashings, and starting to build a frame, but testing it and tying and retying. We're trying to encourage them to, keep going and work on making sure that all their knots are tight. They're very often will tie it once and say, it's good enough, and then they can't figure out why it won't stand up.
Yeah.
What are you guys using for spars?
We're actually finding spars along various wooded areas around town.
There you go.
Yeah, often the ones that you find like that are down or one step away from rotting. So
we found some very good ones. We've made good use of brush. But we're talking 2.5 inch diameter, 8 foot or more, depending on what we're trying to do.
Yeah, I've thought of just grabbing some 2x4 by 10s or something like that, or 8s, and just cutting them in half. So you got a pair of sort of 2x2s, and then maybe just take put them through the circular saw, just knock over the table saw and just knock off the corners, maybe, or something to so that it sort of resembles a spar.
That's a great idea. If you don't have access, we got a bunch. This is going to sound completely insane. My son's neighbor hasn't cut their hedges in about 50 years. So we got a whole bunch of inch and a half diameter pieces, 6 to 8 feet long, which are straight, and very, very good for making things.
Good.
Cool.
And by the way, the neighbor consented. This was not vandalism.
Starter.
So we had a group of scouts that did it at New England Base Camp in August.
Mhm.
Did pioneering.
We
The hedges, what did they do for the hedges?
Did somebody else join or?
I think that was from Bear.
Oh, okay, it was
Background.
extra voice. Okay.
His microphone's off. Oh, it's
Mhm.
back on.
It wasn't.
Mrs. Bear,
There you
Did-
go.
There we are.
Robin.
Did you see, I learned and have always made the square lashing starting off with a clove hitch and ending with a clove hitch. There's now a BSA version where there's only one knot and there's a square knot at the very end. Has anybody ever seen that before? That's one of the links that I have on the handout. If you want to take a look at it.
No.
I don't know whether that was done to recognize scouts' difficulty with the clove hitch or just, it is a very efficient way to make a square lashing. I have to admit that. And what brought it up was we got talking about pack frames, which was the original way, to kind of go from your internal frame backpack, go back historically back to the external frame to the predecessor of even that, which was the pack frame. And so we made a pack frame using a bunch of square lashings. That's the illustration in the handout. And it's a nice way because you have to make 6 of them. So you get a chance to practice it. It's not a one and done kind of situation. And then you can do the diamond hitch, which, does anybody remember when that was a requirement for the camping merit badge?
Was?
It was.
I remember learning it.
It was one of the requirements for the camping merit badge, because I remember my sons did it, so that means they're in their 30s. So that means this was a while ago. This was quite a while ago. But that's
I
kind of.
remember learning the diamond hitch on a bite,
Um,
but I don't remember doing it for camping merit badge.
I thought you were going to say you remember doing it in
Okay.
Philmont with a horse or a donkey or something.
No,
That's-
I've never even seen this knot. All right, I got 2 computers going here.
Oh, okay.
Now, I've always used the clove hitch. I've never had any problem tying it, but I never liked it as the finish knot because I never felt it held well enough.
Well, doing the square knot thing, obviously, that solves that. You get that really tight. You get that nice and tight. And what we used, by the way, was just binder twine, which is a cheap, easy thing to get hold of to do these kind of projects. And that got me looking back also that in old scouting that they actually had in the handbooks things like making pioneering models out of garden stakes, I think were the things. These I don't know what, I guess it was a bamboo material, green bamboo material that you got for stakes. And then you can make towers and this, that, and the other thing. And if you look in some of the old handbooks, you see these things illustrated as samples of pioneering, I guess, for scout shows and things like that. So did anybody read the email that John sent out? Do you have anybody have a knot that nobody knows that you want to teach us? John's got something. I can see that smile, that gleam in his eye.
Well, I do have this, I inherited this board of knots.
Wow, a knot board.
Knot
Remember when every scout room used to have one of those?
There no longer
Wow.
is a Troop 423 here in Medford. It was at St. Joseph's Parish, but I was given this, I guess you can't really read the signs too well. Yeah, but there's a nice little description of each one, the name of it, and some have a more lengthy description.
Mm-hmm.
This half of the
Stephen,
board is
that's not-
empty.
Yeah, there's one up there that's not tied together. Is that the knot?
That's
Not sure.
That's the double knot.
Either it lost the label or it's a fisherman's bend. That's the sign that's below it, but it's a little too far below it.
Wow,
But these are,
that's
you
cool.
know, somebody did calligraphy actually to write these. We make the little signs. There's a project for a troop to come up with his own knot board, or not.
Boo hiss.
Pun intended, yeah, I know. But there's quite, I have 2 other boards like that I got from yet other units that no longer exist. And some of them are very intricate. The lashings, or not just lashings, there's something that's like big spider web. Several of them, and they have fancy names that I'd never heard before and I've not seen anyplace. But if people don't make their own, I can make these available. Upon request, I'll deliver it.
That's an interesting question, because we met past tense in a parish hall. We did get permission to put up a large display board, so that's something I think that's a neat idea. In fact, that would be a neat thing to do, and then assemble it. Nice. How many do people have real scout rooms?
Scout what?
The scout room. There was
Yes.
one time,
No.
a troop in, I think it was in Medford, John, that had a room.
There was one in Somerville that had a room up on a higher floor, Cottage Ave, near Davis. Davis Square.
Yeah.
Between Davis and what is it? Stop on the red line. They had their own nice wood paneled room next to a gymnasium that was wood paneled. That's gone. Well, the room may still be there, but the church changed hands. It's a different faith community, and the scouts had to go someplace else. So I don't know anybody else. My parish would not even allow us to have storage space. They tore down the building that had an old choir loft. But I don't know of any other packs or troops that have their own room.
Last time I visited home, Troop 61 in Saugus still had a room in the Episcopal Church near Saugus Center. But this was 3 or 4 years ago, the last time I saw it.
Yeah.
We're fortunate to have we've got a full gear room for the troop, and there's another one for the pack. And we have some display space in the downstairs hall. You have all obviously been to the First Baptist Church in Arlington. So in the back of the room that we tend to meet in, we have two rooms, one for each, one for the pack, one for the troop, and all our gear is stored in there.
Right. Yeah, the youth room we use for the round tables.
Yes.
But also you have a big plaque for Eagle Scouts in the big main
in
hall.
the main hall.
Is there some other display space I'm not aware of?
Yeah, there's actually a sideboard. It's about 3 feet by 4 feet, and it's got the doors open up, and it's a sign. It's the side of the hall, and so we can use that for rosters or other notices or other things. We open it up for the meetings, and we can close it up. But all of our meeting notes are actually in Google Docs now, so we don't use that as often.
Yeah, digital.
2 years ago, we built a storage room for the troop gear in the church hall. We sort of confiscated a 10 by 12 foot section and enclosed it. And then they did let us put up a long board, kind of a photo board with announcements and pictures and things like that. So have a little, but not a real scout room, no. Joe, I saw you. Do you have some rope?
I do have some rope.
Okay, well, you have something you're dying to teach us.
I do. And that is a quick improvement to the figure of 8 knot. I'm sure we're all familiar with the figure of 8 knot. We're just going to make a bend and then just sort of like an overhead knot, but we're going to go an extra one so that we end up with a nice figure of 8. There is the mnemonic where you're going to make a guy, strangle him, and punch him in the face. It's easy to teach people that. This is a perfectly fine stopping knot, but from time to time, this is a particularly thick rope, but particularly on smaller rope that might not be enough to get through whatever grommet or what have you. So the stevedore knot, my personal favorite,
Yeah, I know that one.
actually the same thing, but we're going to go around twice before finishing. And that gives us a nice thick stopper that will hold on a lot more grommets and a lot more holes than a figure of 8. And that is why you should all know and use the stevedore knot.
Joe, your audio went out.
We
Yeah,
lost
he
you at the
faded
end there,
away.
but
Yeah.
we got the gist
Well,
of it, I think.
I
We
was
got
camping anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, that is your traditional stevedore knot. Stevedore is like a longshoreman, but he works on a boat instead of on the dock. And now you know.
I did not know that distinction. Thank
Show
you.
us again.
Show us again?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Did it
super
fast.
simple. As long as I can find an end. We're going to make a bite. We're going to go around this twice so that we end up in the front again and there and right through that loop. Then we're going to close it up and give us a nice thick stopping knot, like a figure of 8, but with a second loop around to give it more, so that it can go, it can stop on even wider holes.
8.5.
Yeah, something like that.
That is one that's missing from this board. The knot is missing, but the sign is here. It does say it's one of the stopper knots used to keep a rope from being pulled through a pulley.
Yep.
Same use as the figure 8 knot. So now I can tie the correct knot and put it on the board. Maybe even with blue rope.
I have something for sharing. It's not
Okay.
specifically a knot, but it's so how many of you have troops that have a big old bucket or bag filled with bits and pieces of rope that you spend 10, 15 minutes trying to untie and uncurl? So
Yeah,
one of
and
those,
find
and I
the
don't
one
even have
without
a
the
unit
frayed
anymore.
ends.
I've encouraged the scouts to go this way. This is kind of a running chain knot. And it's a great way to store, especially 8, 10, 12, sometimes 15, 20-foot pieces. Because this is about 8 feet long and it's only about a foot now. And it's very simple to do. And the nice thing about it is that when you unfurl the end, it'll just pull apart and you've got the rope. So usually you start by doing a bend, the entire length of the rope, just bend it in the middle. And what I do is I just take that as my standing end. I do an overhand loop, and then I come up behind it and pull the 2 pieces through. Now I've got another loop. Pull the 2 pieces through that loop. Same thing. So I've got this running chain stitch, trying to get my fingers out of the way. Got this running chain where I keep pulling a loop, grab the 2 strands behind, pull them through for another loop. When I get down near the end, when you get all the way down near the end, you pull the last 2 strands through, and that'll hold it in place. And now you've got a loop at one end you can hang it on. It usually sits straight, so you can drop it in a bag or a bucket, and easy to find out, pulls it out in a short length. And again, all you do is you pull the last 2 strands out at the end and give it a tug, and the chain will unfurl all the way through. So
Dennis,
it's kind of a running chain.
I learned that in life-saving, for life-saving merit badge, it was a single strand. You didn't double it up, and it was used as a way to store rope on the waterfront, like tied to a life preserver, or whatever other flotation device. So the lifesaver on the beach could just throw it on and run and not have to worry about uncoiling rope.
Yeah, it's used for a number of things. I like, especially with shorter lengths of rope, just folding it over this way. It really makes it a lot easier to manage the lengths of rope you tend to use for lashing, for knot practice, for tie downs. You're using 8, 10-foot pieces all the time. And to have those in a big bundle, in a big bunch, and somebody throws a 50-foot coil in there and everything's a mess. So I find that this is kind of a convenient way. You can hang it on a hook. You can leave it hand around. You can lay a whole bunch of them in. They're easy to separate. So we try to encourage the scouts to do it, and some of them have caught on.
That is wonderful. That's a great idea. That's a great suggestion. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's a lot better idea than the troop I had growing up, where when you showed up at a meeting, you were required to have a knot rope with you.
Yep.
Mhm.
And the knot rope was part of the uniform and hung on your belt. And but unfortunately, that the knot that they taught us to do was actually a noose with a lark's head around your belt. Nooses have now fallen out of favor of knots that we teach scouts. So
yes.
Yeah.
I think that that might have had an ulterior, purpose, Art, in terms of discipline, right?
yeah, perhaps, but
Not something we
Duct
encourage.
tape is more efficient. Duct tape is much more efficient.
Yeah.
Bear, what's up?
As long as they can breathe, duct tape is great.
One of the other thing is to, I know this has become an issue that some kids have tents that have the guy lines with the little sliders and stuff to try to discourage that and get them to use knots instead of the little slider thing for their stakes.
And why?
Mhm.
I like that they know how to use a knot, but
Well, the point being is the only knot that I have that a scout can almost invariably tie successfully is a noose. And when you get to a taut line hitch, it becomes a major production.
Yeah.
And that's it. I mean, really, the only way to learn knots is by constant practice.
yeah,
And,
tie them all the time.
practical use rather than, oh, go tie a taut line. Oh, go tie a taut line. It's like, well, the reason you tie that is to put up a tarp. The reason you tie that is to put your guy lines on your tent. And then it has a purpose. It's not just a silly exercise that you do to get something checked off in the book.
Yeah, those little plastic devices on the tents you buy these days are there because the general public has no idea what a taut line is.
Right.
Well, the problem with a taut line is a lot of the synthetic ropes that they slide to, they don't work particularly well.
Put an extra loop in.
Yes, there are definitely ways of adjusting it.
yeah, I do a double taut line in those cases. I do one taut line, then I take the loose end and do a second one further up the line.
Mhm.
So I got
To get the
You do
tension.
that, or you do 3 loops instead of 2. You do 3.
that works.
It's more friction, and 4 if it's really slippery.
Yeah, we picked up a canoe this fall, and so having my son help tie the canoe on top, onto the car back and forth a few times and getting the taut line hitches has been good practice.
Yeah.
That goes along with having practical uses. Going on a camping trip is you have beautiful weather. Well, who needs a cooking tarp? Well, it's a nice exercise to go through. Some nice good scout skills to throw up a cooking tarp. Maybe for this coming weekend, it'll just keep the leaves from falling in the pot, but.
To me, that's the hardest and the most difficult part of this is to get the scout to realize that we're not doing this simply because it's a requirement. There are practical purposes. There are actually even practical purposes for the different lashings that we do. You want to put a tripod over a cooking fire, something like that. And I know you can get metal tripods from Lodge that do all of that. Thank you. I know that.
No. We always used to do that. Tripod lash and hang up the coffee pot.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely useful. It's, we try to encourage them to practice all the time. And that's what we say is that, the more you practice it, the better off you're going to get. But bowling is probably one of my favorites to encourage them to use because it's useful in a lot of different things, especially when you can loop it around.
Yeah.
And then just a simple one like a lark's head is just very handy, especially for tarps and tie downs. to do a loop through something. Usually works very nicely.
It's yeah.
Yeah, bowling has always been my go-to knot. That's kind of a fun one to play with. I'm
Yep.
always looking for different ways to tie it, different things to do with it. I've seen demonstrations and I've seen video online of something called a flying bowling. They literally just hold up the rope and go like this, and there it is. It's like, what in the world? I've tried to teach myself that, but I would have had better luck. Well, I don't know. I wound up looking more like poor Frodo after Shelob got through with him.
Yeah, so when we used to meet in person, that was actually one of the things I would, go ahead and grab one of the older scouts, make sure they knew a knot, and you happen to be in there early. It's like all the new scouts that come in, your sort of your entrance to tonight's meeting is to do whatever the knot of the night is, and that works for a while. But then all of a sudden, the meeting time gets pretty close, and the kids start flooding in, and it all breaks down. But it's like do something creative with that time instead of throwing a basketball around.
For pioneering, they often will try to do the whipping the rope, and they've got different materials that they're trying all the time and various levels of success. So I tried to have a couple of them, and I'm going to try to encourage you again this round to work on splices. So especially if we're using a triple rope, an end splice, or sometimes very useful an eye splice, is a very good knot and tying technique to learn. So especially an end splice is really great for pioneering, because you don't have to worry about a whipping cord coming loose, and especially if you're dealing with a fiber, it's not something you can fuse. They love to fuse the end of a synthetic rope, but you can't do that with a lot of natural fiber one. Obviously, you can't with natural fibers.
So Dennis, you're talking about a back splice, right?
A back splice, yeah.
Yeah.
End splice is, I guess, the term that I learned, but.
Yeah, those are and obviously when you talk eye splice, long splice, basically the strength of the rope is almost undiminished. It's something like and normal, much stronger than any kind of knot we could tie.
Than a knot, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and with an eye splice, you can back splice it quite a distance and have a loop that isn't going anywhere ever.
That's right. We were very fortunate. We had for years a professional fisherman who would come in and do that for a series of periods, teaching him how to do splices, and saying you can do a splice in the dark, do a knot in the dark, backhanded and all that. This guy could do the splices that way, so it was really spectacular. The kids learned.
Nope, that's a scout skill that has eluded me.
Practice.
Yeah. Practice. Yeah. But you have to use fiber rope, really.
Yeah, that I know.
Although there's some splicing techniques that the boaters use for the fancy ropes. The ones that have the sheathing on the outside, and then you do something on the inside, and the sheathing gets fixed somehow. I learned to do that once and haven't touched it since.
Yeah, you're right. There's some you can feed back down inside the sheath, and when the sheath gets pulled on, it tightens around it.
Yeah,
I've seen that.
Yeah, you can do a nice place pretty well with a hollow core. And I think there's even like a sort of like a needle.
There's a tool for it. Yeah,
there's a tool for it. That's right. Yeah.
A marlin spike, I believe.
No, it's not a traditional marlin spike. It's actually, I think it's a hollow point kind of thing, isn't it? Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It's kind of hard to find a marlin spike anymore, but that's a kind of a side.
Ron, let me tell you about the internet, where you can absolutely find a marlin spike.
Yes, no, I meant the corner store kind of place.
What are those?
Try West Marine.
Yeah. What's the one? Hamilton Marine's the one up in Maine. that has everything. Yeah. But they have these, actually what seems to be the easier thing to get a hold of is it's a FID, which has like a hollow point, like a scoop, almost a pointed scoop that you use to guide the strands through when you're making the tucks. But anyway.
What you should do is get the Cub Scouts to use their knife skills to whittle a marlin spike for the Scouts to work on their pioneering.
There we go. There we go. Well, it's kind of, I was thinking about, Art, you're making your spars by knocking the edges off. Actually, that's how you start, making a mast. You basically turn a square piece of wood into an octagon by just keep successively cutting off corners. Okay, John, I think we are kind of where I thought we could get in the knot business.
You say you're done with knots?
But I'm not done with knots. I'm never going to be done with knots, I hope. But
knots and lashing. Hey.
Was anybody able to attend the council event the other night on the Tuesday night? I guess it was on the base camps. I made the first half hour of it, but then we had our scout meeting at 7:30.
No, Tuesday's our troop meeting too.
Yeah, so they're it's a combination of Narragansett, Spirit of Adventure, and Daniel Webster teaming up through a sort of a shared adventure card, and all adopting kind of the base camp model, really putting a push out for the public use, and using that as a funding source. In combination with the scout groups that use it. So, it also sounded like Angela was talking, and double knot's going to go away with something that's going to replace it. That's supposed to be a whole lot more user friendly.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
I had to leave right about the time she was talking, so I missed that. But that just seemed like we've already experienced it with New England Base Camp, but it seems like now kind of sharing among 3 councils, and
more options.
But at the moment, as the rules may or may not change for crossing state boundaries, we're keeping everything in state for the foreseeable future. But one of them was going to be Granite State Base Camp. Then we already have New England Base Camp, and then I forget what the Rhode Island one was called. Adventure Base or something like that.
Yeah, it's nice because it provides some flexibility, assuming that we can freely go across state lines.
Yeah, we're not counting on that. We're transitioning everything into Massachusetts. Doesn't mean you can't, although I just my kids play hockey, or they used to, and so I got a hockey announcement tonight, and teams cannot cross state boundaries.
Yep.
So I'd be surprised if we see those other restrictions come down. And
well, our first candidate for travel is the West Point Camporee, so we'll see what happens. That's usually April vacation, or 1st of May. They had to cancel it last year, so we have a space reserved for this year. We'll have to see what happens.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if there's any talk about what might be happening. I emailed Angela, but I wasn't expecting a response really. Right now we have a Watauga reservation for next summer, and would we, potentially be better off landing in a Massachusetts camp? Because that was one of the variables, was the crossing the state boundary and dealing with laws in 2 different states, and then the death knell, of course, was you couldn't have a camp that was more than 3 nights, and that's where we ended up with the 2 weekend option at base camp, which served our troop in 306 well.
Yeah.
But then we get the announcement of November 2nd, where you can't even overnight camp, which, by the way, that's a Spirit of Adventure Council thing, and so we have to comply with it. But we're going to Hale, which is in Westwood, which is actually within Spirit of Adventure area. And their Board of Health has no problems with camping and groups of up to 50. Once again, divided up and all, but so it seems like Spirit of Adventure is being fairly very, very conservative on this. And quite honestly, between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m., which are the sort of the quasi curfew times when scouts are in their individual tents, is the least of my concerns. Managing them through the course of the day is the bigger issue. And so we're allowed to meet during the day, but we can't camp in a solo tent overnight. I somehow lost the logic on some of that, but it seemed to be a misapplication of the governor's curfew.
Yeah.
If you're off camping somewhere, you can't even. I even asked about family camping at base camp, and they're not even allowing family camping at base camp with the rationale that families don't behave. If they're there if there's other families they know, they'll tend to congregate. And
Yeah.
you certainly have to watch it. You got to be vigilant on that. But it's like, so I can go to a hotel this weekend. There's my family, and they had no problem there, but I can't go camping within Spirit of Adventure. So we're complying, but not happily.
I look at it as it's all something of a numbers issue. The more you can reduce the moments of contact and cross contact, the better off. And overnight you're now spreading across 2 different days. You might have different groups. You might have different opportunities. Yes, it's extra cautious. I agree.
Yeah.
But I think it's keeping the contact numbers down.
Yeah, when we're getting together this weekend, I mean, we keep our families together. So my family of 4 will be in one patrol. And if the patrol has 10 scouts in it or 10 people in it, the adults cook separate from the youth. In our case here, we're smaller, so the scouts will do the cooking. But we're all right together as families, so we're a family plus 3 scouts and 1 other parent. So, it's,
remember, in most cases, though, you're dealing with an increase in cars, an increase in adults that are nearby. Everything. Each scout more or less has 1 adult and 1 car that have got to come along.
Yep.
So we're not dealing with we have some families, but we're not dealing with a lot of family groups. Nobody's sharing cars. We're not encouraging sharing of cars. So you're talking 3 people or 3 things: a car, an adult, and a scout every time you're moving around. So that was one of the reasons that we had reservations at base camp as well, and we weren't really planning on an overnight, but the logistics were just too many opportunities for things to cross over where we weren't comfortable with it.
Mhm. Yeah.
But I hear you. If you can do it and you can make it work, and you've got the ability to monitor it the way that I know you'd like to, I wish you luck. It sounds like there's a nice time for scouts to do something.
Yeah, we did. We've done well at base camp in the summer as a troop. It was a little bit interesting that we could go ahead and be as our patrol, a little cohort, but then the merit badge counselors and staff were kind of wandering from group to group. So when we're going away this weekend or this for Saturday, it's the older scouts are doing all the teaching within the patrol and leading. And we're not going ahead and having somebody running a fishing station or something like that, right? Where if your patrol decides you want to go fishing, well, that's great. And if you want to do some hiking, you want to do some skills. So just totally you're self-contained. And I think as soon as it's a slippery slope is once you go ahead and start allowing some level of interaction beyond that. But we were more successful at Knobscot when we weren't doing the whole merit badge and advancement program at base camp. We'll see.
Yeah.
Our unit in Waltham is 248 is planning to do day hikes, and the Greenway goes through Waltham, so they're gonna. So the transportation issue is not so great. The parent dropping a kid off just locally in town, and they can hike, uh, socially distanced, and it's just an excuse, it's an opportunity to get outside and do something together.
Mhm.
We've managed to put together some good service weekend activities. And actually our popcorn's been fairly successful too, which has been good. But yeah, we've had a couple of different service activities on the weekend spread out or working on different things. But our Court of Honor went virtual last week, so. But we had a good number of merit badges, given that we didn't have summer camp, and we had a good number of rank advancements, so we were pleased with it.
Yeah, we're holding off right now because our crossovers didn't show up till September,
Mhm.
and we really would like to make sure that they all hit scout rank before doing a Court of Honor. So right now we're targeting January, and trying to make a push on those guys to make it.
Well, we've got 3, so it allows us an opportunity to catch up with them whenever they do. We had 3 new scouts join in, so they're still in the working on the rank, but we know that that'll take a little more time than usual. So I'm sure we'll catch them in February when we do our next one. Anyone else been active?
Has anybody been using the boxes or kits, they're referring to them now, that are available at the base camp? Well,
we used the navigation one back in August, but we were at base camp. So there was an orienteering one that, so it's compasses and some maps and stuff like that were in it.
there are kits available for each rank. Well, first class, second class, tenderfoot, scout, tote and chip kit. But there are several merit badges that they've got boxes for. The other side here is all Cub Scout stuff. About 6 topics for each rank or level, 5 or 6. You say you've used one navigation? I didn't know that was available.
Orienteering. It was
Oh yeah, orienteering merit badge box. Okay.
Yeah, it was based on the rank requirement for is your 1 mile orienteering loop with and then the younger scouts needed that, and what we worked on top of that then was to do the cooking merit badge trail cooking on top of it, so that kept the older scouts interested. So we went partway around base camp and then fired up the stove and started doing the fairly minor cooking, but yeah.
S'mores?
No, ended up doing some oatmeal. So, but each scout had to do it. They had to tear down the stove and put it back up, do their own thing, and so.
Do you know what the cost of these boxes or kits are? I know it's 20% off with an adventure card, but I don't even know what the starting price is.
I just thought you borrowed them. I didn't realize there was a cost behind them. While we were at camp, they obviously.
That may have been part of it. Okay.
Yeah.
What? No.
Supposedly all these kits and boxes are available for, especially the ones for the Cub Scouts. They are available. I haven't heard of anybody using them.
I think
Boy Scouts seem to do it more.
Yeah, the locality of Milton being on the very edge of the whole council's geographic area, just doesn't make it practical to go chasing down there for something like that unless
Oh, these are supposed to be available at the Woburn office.
At the Woburn office too. Okay.
Base camp, satellite base camp, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Does anybody else have anything they want to share or questions to throw out? We got about 14 minutes left in our normal time period to finish at 9 o'clock. I know my wife's anxious to get back at the computer here. So. But let's see, it's Thanksgiving coming up in 2 weeks from today. are a lot of you guys doing camping and doing the turkeys out in the woods?
No,
No, not this year, right?
no.
Well, we can't camp, so, right, there's the rule, the council says no camping.
Oh, not overnight. You could
Yeah.
do the meal and send everybody home.
Well,
Yeah.
the meal presents logistic issues.
Big issue too, yeah.
Yeah, all that preparation, I mean, it's, and not only that, but you're dealing with food handling and,
Right.
Yeah.
you know, utensils and
Indoor cooking spaces.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we always did ours as a up in New Hampshire at a private piece of property. It was just backwoods camping. But yeah, I think last year we drew almost 100 people to it. So it's just not, it's not set up in a way that is, you know, conducive in this environment for small groups.
Ours was similar. It was about the same number of people, but it was the full, you know, in the dining hall,
Yeah.
you know, full 3 turkeys and all the fixings and all the sides, and everybody crammed into a dining hall. And not something that we could do.
Yeah. Hopefully next year.
Yeah.
Has anybody queried your members about whether they intend to get the vaccine when it is available? I know scouts are not necessarily high on the listing of who's going to get it first or early. It's going to be probably the summer before we can actually have enough people vaccinated that they can even think about having meetings or big groups. So
We'll have to see how that goes.
yeah, I think that's what everybody's saying. I want to see how it goes before we do it. So nobody's going to do it up front. Well, essential workers will probably be getting it. And I'm supposed to be in one of those first groups, somebody with the pre-existing conditions and age. I'm a little leery of taking anything. So yeah, different times.
Yeah, well, then you get the not to derail things here, but it was just over in Denmark, right, where they just go ahead and culling all their minks out because of a mutation of the COVID virus that spread back into like
Right.
40 people. So
Yeah.
So that could stuff like that can totally wreak havoc with the vaccination too. So who knows what's going to happen between now and next summer.
We just did a Zoom meeting with my nephew who's just moved over there. His wife and 2-year-old boy. They can both work from home, but his wife had to take a promotion required that she be in the office, and that company or the operation is based in Copenhagen. And yeah, they've got stories to tell too of how things are done differently there than here. But mink, yeah. Animals transferring, catching it from humans, and transferring it to humans. Bad spot to be in, poor mink. So. Well, let's see. Our next roundtable would be the second Thursday, I believe, is the 10th. 10th of December. So I don't know if we can pull together a separate one for Cub Scouts with 1 month's notice, but at least we'll be doing this on the second Thursday of the month, in December.
And
You can give that one to them if you want.
Oh, well, that's
have suggestions. Bring up what you want to do. Send do it.
Yeah, give us some topics for the next one, whichever date it gets used on or called for. I don't even remember how we came up with. Oh, Ron, you came up with this topic for the lashings and rope work.
Kind of just what was going on with the troop.
Right, there you go. Pulling it from your experience, what's currently in mind, and resources pulled together. But any big broad topics you folks would like to hash over or focus on? I know there's all those big topics, what they call the big rock topics that I was supposed to have available at roundtables. I don't know, feel like getting into that kind of stuff right now, but registration's bad enough.
Yeah, we're almost done our rechartering package. We got somebody who's pretty diligent about that, so
Right.
that will be going in before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, you've got both the girls troop and the boy troop.
And eventually,
So, and the 2 packs. I think both.
yeah, we don't do the packs.
No, you don't do the packs, but you can urge them on.
We need to do a lot more of that urging right now. I think it's you're talking about reaching out to the Cubs. I think it's almost maybe more important that as a troop we're reaching out to them. I said we tried for November. We have two responses, but I'm not sure how we best help them. But
Well, if you can get the council to cut a little slack in there, that might be beneficial. So if you gentlemen get anything out of the next district operation meeting.
It's not likely that the council has any leeway in doing that. It's, rechartering is not, I doubt that there's any, you know what I mean? They're not making the rules. Rechartering is a national requirement.
They have some influence on the adventure card.
Right. Council level. Because the national, of course, they set their fees because they need the money. They raise the fees because they need more money. So I don't really expect too much there, but at least if somebody makes some noise about it and makes them think about it, of what to do other than just let packs disappear.
Well, I tell you, our troop is probably going to end up paying for the recharter fee for our feeder pack, because they said in an email exchange just like a week ago, somebody from their pack said, well, we're on a gap year. And I almost fell off my chair. Like, you just don't understand what you're saying. Yeah. And so I told our unit leader, it's like, you tell them we'll pay for it. It's like, oh my God, you got to explain to them, because they don't, this is the thing, is that they don't appreciate what the consequences of that are. And because they're not connected enough to understand what that means, because they don't come to Roundtable, they don't do anything else, so they don't know.
Yep. The face mask issue of scouting, right? If you don't have packs, you don't get troops, or troops don't last too long.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you all for participating tonight.
Thank you.
Our numbers are slightly dwindling from what we've had other ones, but I'm glad to see some of the regular faces and sharing your ideas. And I learned some more about knots and lashings, not just what they are or how to do the individual ones, but how to use them as a teaching reinforcement for the teaching of other things, like setting up your tent or keeping the Pinewood Derby track on the roof of the station wagon. No, that was rain gutter. Rain gutter I lost.
Oh, yeah.
Time. Yes. That was exciting. Direct application of knots, not just keep tying more of the ones you know. Make sure it does the job. So again, thank you all. Wish you a happy Thanksgiving, you and your families.
You all too?
Christmas shopping continues.
Take care.
Right.
See you in a month.
Thank you, gentlemen.
4 weeks.
Night.
Take care.